Hello, Facebook. It's Terry Joe. Sunday Night Live. I am here and wondering where you are. Anyway, I wanted to share. I'm sharing a series on Sunday nights because I realize Sunday nights can be challenging. They used to be very challenging for me. The end of the free time, the end of the weekend, the end of relaxation, and back into the daily grind of Monday through Friday. For those of you that have Monday through Friday kind of jobs or families that you have to get up and get ready for school. There's just a lot that happens, I think, on Sunday night. After a day of relaxation, a day of maybe fun, going to the beach, being with our families, then all of a sudden tomorrow can feel, I don't know, like more of the same old, same old. So I decided I wanted to do this Sunday night series as just my way of sharing light and love and joy for giving some inspiration so that you don't have to feel the Sunday night blues. Maybe you could feel a little more lightness of being going into the week ahead. So tonight's topic is one of my most, I don't know if I want to say favorite, but it's the one that I feel is most significant for our growth. Why we suffer from lack of self-trust and low self-esteem. In my experience, the number one reason, I don't see who's on here, by the way. I see someone's on, but I can't see who it is. Anyway, I want to say hi. So this thing with self-esteem and self-trust is something that I've learned over the years in doing all my personal growth work that I've done and just studying about the different parts of ourself, is that we all carry inside of us this childlike nature, this little, people call it the inner child. But basically there's a part of us that's always watching what we're doing. We can call it consciousness, our conscience. And so this part that's always watching what we're doing, when we make promises that we don't keep, this part actually kind of keeps score. So the number one reason that I found for people to have low self-esteem and a lack of self-trust, which affects so many things, hi Candy, it affects so many things, is whether we keep our word or not to ourselves. And so this happens in very subtle ways over time, where we erode our self-esteem and we erode our self-trust by saying we're going to do things and then not doing them. And I'll give you the two biggest examples from my life, and maybe you can relate and struggle with these as well. From my life, it is doing a daily meditation practice and also doing some form of exercise. For some reason, these two things have been so difficult for me to really commit to and keep my word on. And so one of the things I've learned over the years to do is to be really realistic in the goals that I set for myself around self-care. Hi, Susan. And so when I do a self-care goal, I do it really small, like 5 minutes is my commitment. And so let's say I'm working on meditation, like I want to sit in quiet meditation, contemplation. Then what I would say is I'm going to do 5 minutes a day and if I'm not doing it at all, then maybe I'll say for 3 days this week. And then I'll have a tracking system where I actually track that. And then if I want to build on that, then maybe the next week I'm going to do 4 times 5 minutes a day. And then after that, 5 times 5 minutes a day. And then maybe I do 5 times 10 minutes a day. But what I find is the ego loves to make big, grandiose gestures, like I'm going to work out 5 times a week, and I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours a day, and I'm going to meditate for 20 minutes every day. And then the reality is, if you're not already doing that in your life, it sounds good, and maybe you'll do it for a day or 2 or a week, but then eventually life happens and you can't keep up with it. And here's the key in what I want to share about what builds or erodes our self-trust and self-esteem, because they're really linked together. So if you make promises to yourself that you don't keep, imagine like a little 5-year-old kid is inside watching you, watching mom or dad, because we represent a parent to this younger part of us, or this part of us. And basically you're saying, I promise I'm going to eat really healthy. I promise I'm going to start working out every day. And that part just starts to sit there like this. No, you're not. You never do what you say you're going to do. You've told me that before. I don't believe you. And so it really can create this friction inside of us. This lack of trust is such a huge thing in affecting so many areas of our life, and even in the way we talk to ourselves. Because after a while, when we say we're going to do things and we don't do them, we just don't even have any faith in our abilities or ourself. Right? And so the way to work with this is to really start in with really small baby steps. And really, I have even a tracking system, which I actually don't have with me right now, but it's like a little chart that I make, and I usually make it on Sunday nights or Mondays. And especially when I'm working on a particular behavior, like let's say meditation. So I will log it, and I will write down that I'm going to do 5 minutes a day. And the other key on this is to learn to do it first thing in the morning, your practice, whatever you do. And people will say, oh, I can't do it in the morning. It's like the hardest time for me. I have so many things to do. 5 minutes, just do a 5-minute practice. For me, exercise, because exercising is not fun. I don't like it. I don't like going to the gym. The only thing I like doing exercises is if I have a one-on-one trainer, which I can't really afford, so I don't do that. But if I have a class to go to, I'll do that, like a yoga class or a Pilates class. And so what I wanted to say was, even doing 5 minutes of stretching in the morning, which is one of the practices I will do when I'm committing to that. Actually, that's going to be my practice this week that I'm committing to, is 5 minutes, 5 days this week, setting a timer for 5 minutes in the morning and rolling around on the floor and stretching. Just however my body wants to do it. There's no like big rules on this. Just I get to and I set a timer because I have a part of me that likes to measure everything. So it's like, if I say I'm just going to stretch for a few minutes, I'll do it for like probably 1 minute, and then I'll be like, okay, I did it, I'm done. So I find for me, having measuring tools like time, how many days, and being very exact about this, because there's this part inside that's always listening to us and seeing if we mean what we say. And so that's my biggest thing I wanted to share tonight. I don't know if anyone has any questions about it. I'm sure you've had experiences with this. Maybe you can give examples of other things that you do, that you say you're going to do and then you don't. I can give another example when it comes to food and eating. If you have anything, like for me, I have a sugar addiction. So I can say like, I'm going to stop eating sugar, or I'm not going to eat sugar. But so many things have sugar in it. So there has to be some sort of specific thing you're doing. Like for me, I used to eat ice cream every night before I went to bed. Yes, I did. That was a treat. And so that was one thing I did. I just stopped buying the ice cream, because that's something that's very measurable. Like I won't eat ice cream. Now I usually will eat fruit before bed, which is still sugar before bed, but it's better than ice cream. And so I'm very gentle with myself. I do treat myself and talk to myself as if I'm a 5-year-old child. Being a kindergarten teacher really helped me have that kind of relationship with myself, because I realized there is a little kid in there that wants certain things, and especially that wants comfort, sweets, and it wants to watch Netflix. It doesn't really want to exert itself sometimes, and that's okay. But there's still, just like with a child, you would have a bedtime for the child. You would have the child eat vegetables, drink water, move their bodies. So I find like that's so helpful for me to build up a good relationship with myself, build trust, and build self-esteem by keeping my word. And just like if you didn't keep your word with a friend, like let's say you had a friend and you were going to meet somewhere and you just didn't show up. I mean, how do you think that friend would feel? Like you didn't call, you didn't show up. or anything, and then let's say you did that 2 or 3 times, do you think that friend would trust you as somebody who it has integrity and keeps their word? No. So the thing with breaking our word to ourselves is it's actually usually the first place we break our word, because we would rather keep the friend or have the friend think that we're honest and good on our word than our own self. I mean, that's like, if you really think about that, it's really sad, but it's super common. So like, don't be hard on yourself, because this is a major thing that we do. I think a lot of us, I don't know, maybe it was modeled to us, this thing where we just don't value what we say to ourselves, like the word that we give. And so I'm really careful about committing to things. I'm careful about saying I'm going to do any kind of exercise or practice. I'm very realistic. My thing I do like to do a lot is walk. So I don't have a problem saying I'll do 10,000 steps 3 times a week or something, but I look at my week ahead. And that's another thing. I always look at my week ahead, like on Sunday night, and I will make the plan of what I'm going to do for my self-care. And like I said, they're small steps. So I may have 3 days a week that I'm doing 10,000 steps. I may have 5 days this week. I'm going to do 5 minutes of stretching, and I'm going to do 5 minutes of meditation 5 days this week. And those are doable. Like, I know I can do it. And having some sort of checklist, just like what you would with a kid, you know, where you have a little chart and they do the check mark, or they do stickers or a happy face. It works wonders for me, but also for a lot of people I've worked with. When we do these charts, these self-care charts to track what we're doing, I check mine. I check in the morning and I check at night. And so I make sure I'm doing the behaviors that I say I'm going to do, the ones that I say I want to do, and the ones that I know make a difference for me in supporting myself. So it's good to see people on here, and that's really all I wanted to talk about tonight. Does anyone have any comments? Any practices you use? Anything about how is your trust with yourself? How do you feel? Do you feel like you trust yourself? Do you keep your word when you say you're going to do something for yourself? And women, by the way, I just want to say women tend to really have issue with this, and it's partly because we are so involved in so many things, especially if you're a mom. But even if you're just a woman, like, there's just like all these things we take care of, you know. And if you're a single person, like, there's just, you know, so many things can come up in the day, and they can pull us away from the things of taking care of ourselves on the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. And those are the things that really nourish us. And so I hope that you make time for them, and that you will be good about keeping your word to yourself. And if you break your word to yourself, then have a little conversation inside, or even out loud, like, I'm really sorry that I didn't keep my word on this. I realized it was too big of a commitment for me to do. And so now I'm going to make a smaller bite-sized little chunk that I'm going to do, and it's just going to be a smaller commitment I'm going to make. And maybe I'm going to go to the gym once this week. Maybe I'm going to take 1 yoga class this week. You see how that's a difference? Then I'm going to do yoga Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Unless you already have that built in and it's already part of your routine, then that's fine. But if you're starting on a new behavior, then you want to go super small and then build on that. All right. I wish there was more interaction. This is only my 3rd Facebook Live. I don't exactly know what I'm doing. But I'm happy to be here, and I hope all of you have a beautiful, blessed week. Be good to yourselves. Love you. Bye.